Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, live with you for the next hour or so, breaking down all the latest around the NFL as football at long last is finally back. We're live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. So we ask everyone watching the pin poll question on the YouTube side and the Facebook side, too. Who you got in week 1 of the NFL? LAR for the Rams, BUF for the Buffalo Bills. Let me know who you have winning to open up the 2022 NFL season. An absolutely banger of an opening game. You've got the defending Super Bowl champs and the trendy favorite to win the Super Bowl this year, the Buffalo Bills. Who you got? I'll give some shout-outs here. Brother John Wayne Cossey says B for the Bills. I see Rams from the NFL Kid, Christopher Flores, Eric Simmons, Colin Bodeker, and Brother John as well. I see Bills from Jeremy Wilson, Shelley, Michael, Seahawks Nation going with the Bills, Dwayne Duncan. I think I might have spoke. Colin said Bills. I forgot who I was going with there, so that's my bad. Tristan says Bills by 6. Junior Estrada says Rams by 7. More Bills from Greg, Shelley, Latuya as well. NFL Kids got a score prediction, 32-27. I'm in. 5-point opening night game. Let's ride. It'll go down to the wire. That'd be perfect for entertainment purposes there. Cole Keller says Buffalo. Jeff Rogers says the Bills as well. AJ Scales says the Rams. Michael Dusty typing in the Buffalo side. The pin poll side of it is almost a 50-50 split. 48% going with the Rams, 52% going with the Bills. It is not often we get an almost 50-50 split when we do these poll questions. It's just you can't get people to agree on anything, let alone get them to agree halfway. That's where we're at right now. 52% Bills, 48% Rams. We'll check in on that pin poll throughout tonight's live show. Now, those two teams are both going to be popular picks for this question. Who will win the Super Bowl this year? Rams are the defending champs, although it's very tough to repeat, as we know, unless you've got, a very special quarterback or you've built a dynasty somehow. That just doesn't happen very often. Even Mahomes only has the one. Yes, the Patriots and the Cowboys and the Niners have been the exceptions in recent years there from a dynasty perspective. So who wins the Super Bowl? Bills are the betting favorite. They've been a very trendy pick. I don't know if you saw this, Jack, on NFL Network. They did their predictions, and every person picked the Bills. So that's not going to happen. That's not how it works at all. Sorry, Buffalo. I'll give some shout-outs here. Chiefs from Chiefers 65 point. That makes sense. You're a Chiefs fan. I respect it. The RC Plane Builder says Bills. Mike Honcho says Bills. Dusty Rhodes says Cowboys. Jeff Rogers says Raiders. Greg Brownstead says Niners. Then Greg Goodrow, back-to-back Gregs in the comments, says the Commanders. Mr. C. Witt says Chiefs. Junior says Bucks. Shelley says Bills. Michael says Bills or Chargers. Gavin says Rams. Trulora says Niners. Bucks from Christopher Flores. Niners from Mike Honcho. Bucks Bills from Tristan Bravo. Raiders coming in from Juan Hernandez and Jeff Rogers. Cole says Chiefs. Tony says Bills. Stefan says Bills. Let's see. I got Jeremy Wilson says Bucks against the Chargers. Bucks winning by 14. John Hepburn says Jets. I love your optimism, my friend. Colin says the Ravens. I see Colts from Icebox the Great. John says Chargers or Broncos. AJ Scales says the Bucks. Gavin and Chiefer both saying Chiefs. And Matthew Fry says the Broncos. There were no votes, shockingly, for the Detroit Lions. That makes sense. If you were bet on one team to not win the Super Bowl every year, you'd probably pick the Lions. It's like the safest bet you could ever have. But, speaking of the Lions, did you watch Hard Knocks this year at all? Feel free to chime in, Jack. I have a 9-month-old at home, so no, I didn't watch any Hard Knocks the first time in a long time. Did you watch any?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think of it, Jack? Chime in.
I haven't watched the finale.
Okay, no spoilers.
I forgot that yesterday was Tuesday.
Today feels like Thursday for me, and it makes no sense why.
Today feels like Tuesday for me because we were off on Labor Day. Mm-hmm. But I really liked the first episode. Last year wasn't good.
Last year was terrible. It was terrible.
So
it turned me off. It was terrible.
Dan Campbell coming in the first 2 minutes of the season and giving a big speech about grit. I wanted to run through a brick wall. I loved it.
The difference in Dan Campbell from Mike Porter from just a pure entertainment perspective, night and day. So that makes sense to me.
Nuts.
There you go. A lot of ends in there. Mike Honcho, Tristan Bravo says yes. Seahawks Nation is now talking about Geno Smith for MVP. Well, speaking of MVP, I didn't even realize this was the next question. Who will win NFL MVP? I wouldn't get hopes up from that standpoint. Like, it's not – he's not going to win it. Come on, let's be really. Like, Geno Smith is – we've seen him get chances in the NFL, and he hasn't really done that before, like, at like a high level from that standpoint. So, like, it's not Geno. You can go any other route almost, and it'll make more sense. All right, rapid fire. Give some shout-outs here momentarily. Give me 1 second here, Jack. I see, okay, we'll probably about Geno Smith. Mac Jones, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Micah Parsons, Justin Jefferson, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson. Who was not a chance for MVP? You just Justin Jefferson, Jack says not a chance. Micah Parsons, Dak from Dusty Rhodes, Derek Carr, Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, Justin Herbert as well. Burrow, Tom Brady is in there as well. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Jameis Winston, Joe Burrow. Can you give me some shout-outs here real quick for me, Jack? Trey Lance, Hurts as well in there.
Trey Lance. Dame says Jalen Hurts. Seahawks Nation, hopefully Russ gets his first MVP in Denver, though. Matthew says Russell Wilson. The NFL kid Baker Mayfield. LOL. James, Tom Brady. Evan Hinders, Money Mitch. LOL. Who else we got? Get those in. Who do you think is going to win NFL MVP? Let's hear it. More Baker Mayfields. Jameis Winston. I don't know. Matt Ryan from brother John Wayne. I don't know, man. SM Geno Smith XFL MVP? Maybe. I like that one. What else we got here? Trent Williams.
Jameis Winston. Trent Williams winning MVP. Geno and XFL MVP as well. Mahomes, Williams. Mahomes makes sense. There was a Dak Prescott vote, by the way. So let's ask this question, because we'll break this down in depth on today's show. Is Dak Prescott a top 10 NFL QB? The Ringer did their NFL quarterback rankings. Starters only, so Deshaun Watson not in that conversation. So take him off the list from that perspective. Is he a top 10 QB? Y for yes, N for no. He's not going to MVP. I don't feel that's very realistic at all. Y for yes, N for no. Mike Honcho says no. Ashton Smith says he typed in a heel no. I think you mean hell no from that standpoint. James says yes. Duval says yes. Junior says no. Christopher says no. Ashton says no. Michael says no. The NFL kid says yes. John says 8 to 10. Jeremy, John, Duval, John again, a different John. James Havens, True Allure, all typing in their Y for yes. Jeremy Davis did it too. Go Pierre. Tristan Bravo says no, I base it off winning. Well, if we're only doing wins though, there's like 5 QBs that have won more. I don't know which QBs you'd put in. I don't think winning's the way to go about it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Gavin says yes. Mike says no. Jeff Rogers says no. Torian says yes. Sean Hooker says no. Sean says maybe, and then he typed an N. James says yes, top 5. I'm not going top 5. That seems a little bit on the high end from that standpoint there. John says I was going by fantasy football top 10. That's fine if we want to go fantasy. Juan spamming his no. Zeno says yes in there. Is Dak a top 10 NFL quarterback? Y for yes, N for no. Now, are you excited for football to be back? If you are, show me by liking the video right now. Football's finally back around the corner. It's long overdue from that perspective. So if you're hyped to have football back, real football, not just college, which is great, don't get me wrong there, but also the real NFL, not preseason stuff. We'll do that during, we'll get that going. So like the video for me right now. Here's what's coming up on today's live show. Latest NFL news and rumors. We got Dak Prescott, Mahomes, some injury notes. George Kittle, significant there. Not one, but 2 NFL mailbags. I see the super chat from Clash with Zeus. Thank you, my friend. We'll get to your super chat during that mailbag. It'll come up here in a little bit. 2 ways in the show, hashtag NFL, or you can super chat. And then we'll break down the ESPN Top 10 NFL Draft Rankings. They had their consensus top 10 prospects. Some interesting differences of opinion from that standpoint. That's all coming up live here on NFL Daily. Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, here with all the latest news and rumors around the NFL. We're going to talk about what's being talked about, and we're going to begin with Patrick Mahomes. ESPN's Get Up discussed Mahomes having his best year ever amid the disrespect. Now, there are two different viewpoints I have here. We'll get to the best year ever thing in a second, but I also know that multiple NFL analysts, or NFL Network analysts, Michael Irvin and Kyle Brandt, said Kirk Cousins will NFL MVP, and none of them picked Mahomes. And that's weird to me that you're picking Kirk Cousins. And as good as Mahomes is, he is elite. He is a top 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to put him at, quarterback there. I think at times his greatness is taken for granted. And I have complete confidence in Mahomes balling out again this year. I also think best year ever is probably asking a lot, given that the 2018 campaign was absurd. 50 touchdowns, over 5,000 passing yards, only 12 interceptions. You can even argue from a TD interception ratio that 38-6 was pretty damn good as well. Consistently around that 66% completion mark. So, two ways I go about this here in the end. He's being a bit disrespected from a just like assumed greatness perspective. Happens with all the greats. They're great, so we just move on from them and don't give them the respect that they deserve. But also, best year ever is probably asking for a lot, given what he's done in the past. So, NFL MVP. Who do you think it'll be? Is it Mahomes? It's somebody else? I like Justin Herbert as a trendy pick, but the favorites among are nearby Mahomes. Who do you think wins NFL MVP? Let me know in the comments section. Let's talk Dak Prescott. A lot of national conversation on him today, in large part because of the Ringer posting their 2022 quarterback rankings. All the starting quarterbacks ranked, so no Deshaun Watson in that conversation. They had Dak 7th among NFL quarterbacks, citing his football intelligence in particular. They gave him the nose ball sticker, which is like the fun little tag they give a bunch of different quarterbacks there. If you talk, listen to, or follow the media, coaches, and players who study the game closely, there are examples of those in all three categories who don't actually do that. They're all high on Dak Prescott. And the pre-snap ability absolutely is elite. That was on full display last year in particular. Now, here are the Ringer's top 10 quarterbacks. And I don't agree with everyone on this list. There are changes I would make. No mistake about it. Rodgers is 1, Mahomes is 2, Herbert's 3, Brady's 4, Allen's 5. I might flip Allen and Herbert myself, by the way. Russ is 6, Dak is 7, Lamar's 8, Burrow's 9, Kyler's 10. I was confused there was no Matthew Stafford in there. We're leaving Deshaun Watson out of the conversation, so that is about the right number there. I think Dak falls in the tier of he's not in the Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, etc. That's unrealistic and not based in reality. That remaining tier, guys like Russ, Dak, Lamar, Burrow, Stafford, etc., absolutely. There's about 11 for me, top 10 quarterbacks, if we include Deshaun Watson. Now, Shannon Sharp got on Undisputed today and hated Dak Prescott's ranking with a fire of a character who just wants to get attention from that standpoint there. Now, he said Dak Prescott might not be a top 7 quarterback in the NFC, which, to be clear, is stupid and wrong. And we'll break that down in a minute. But I want to focus in on the top 10 aspect here. Is Dak Prescott a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? Y for yes, N for no. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Now, Dak's past 4 years have been nothing short of incredible relative to the rest of the NFL. And that's like not Mahomes incredible, obviously, but he's performed in every metric you could want as a top 10 quarterback. Yet for quarterbacks, including Dak Prescott and guys like Lamar Jackson since his MVP year, we find excuses to say why, they're really great, but we don't like them all that much. Shannon Sharp said he'd take Kirk Cousins over Dak Prescott. There's nothing Kirk Cousins does on or off the field that is better than what Dak Prescott does. To say I'm sure he's a top 7 NFC QB is really stupid for a national media person to say. Let's go through the NFC QBs, right? Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Duh. Of course they're better than Dak Prescott. Nobody thinks otherwise. unless they're being an insane person as far as I'm concerned. If you want to put Matthew Stafford over Dak Prescott, sure, I'm actually fine with that. After all, you did just win the Super Bowl, and we know how much wins matters from the National Quarterback Conference, which I hate, but that's the reality of the situation. Kyler Murray, no. I think Murray could become better than Dak Prescott, but he hasn't done it yet at all. People were worried about Dak's collapse last year. Murray was even worse. And maybe it's just me, but I don't like it when my quarterback has a homework clause in his contract because that's unheard of. And also Kirk Cousins. No, even if you think all 5 guys are better than Dak Prescott, who are the other 2 NFC quarterbacks you're saying are better than Dak? Jameis Winston? And by the way, these numbers are the ringer quarterback rings, which I don't agree with from a lot of the back half, but whatever. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Baker, Hurts, Geno, Trey Lance, Justin Fields have upside, but they're certainly not there yet. Jared Goff, Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, like those guys are bad. So the idea that those guys are better than Dak absolutely makes no sense, and as far as I'm concerned, kind of just ruins the arguments altogether from that standpoint. Now, today's show is made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code NFLDaily for a 125% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFLDaily. Asked earlier, who's going to win MVP? Well, here are the betting odds for it. Josh Allen plus 700, Mahomes, Brady all plus 800, Rodgers, Herbert plus 900. Not an accident. Those were the top 5 QBs. If you polled every person in the NFL, your top 5 would probably look something like that overall. Maybe Herbert's the guy that isn't in that top 5. So it makes sense. Those are the MVP favorites from that standpoint. Let's talk trade rumors being dead now from that standpoint. Darius Slayton. The Giants and Slayton have agreed to a adjusted contract. Slayton was due to make $2.54 million, but will just make the vet minimum now, and that's under $1 million. Slayton can earn back some of the incentives, but this likely ends any and all trade rumors around him since they're now saving the money they would have saved by trading him. Now, I think those incentives are unlikely to be earned, which you'll notice somewhere along the lines of it's probably over 400 yards, over 30 catches, over 3 touchdowns because he didn't get it last year, therefore unlikely to be earned. And he might not get it this year. Kenny Golladay has been Kenny Golladay from that standpoint there. Sterling Shepard has been he's been banged up, but he's healthy now. Kadarius Toney is, when out there, is a damn good football player. Wan'Dale Robinson's second-round pick this year. Slayton's kind of fallen down that depth chart. He fits the vertical stretch role. With the restructure, he's back in New York. I wouldn't anticipate a trade from that perspective. So cross Slayton off your dream trade targets or candidates list. With him gone, name a player in the comments section who you want to see traded. We keep you covered here at NFL Daily with all the latest news and rumors. That's trades, injuries. We'll get to some of those in a minute here. So if you want free videos every single day, hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Let's hit injury news as the elite quarterback himself, Joe Flacco, has been named the Week 1 starter for the Jets amid Zach Wilson's injury. And somehow this has gone from, Wilson might start Week 1 to he's actually out at least 3 weeks. I don't know how we got from that to this. Maybe Robert Saleh was lying, which, okay, cool. I hate it when coaches do that because you're not actually scheming the field at all or gaming the competition. Wilson's out, per head coach Robert Saleh, at least the first 3 games with that knee injury. That means Joe Flacco is the man at the helm, which is, it's not great, Jim. Flacco has been a backup quarterback for a long time. He will now lead the Jets against the Ravens, Browns, and Bengals. The Jets' opening schedule is brutal. Kind of feel like 1-2 is your best case scenario, even if you get Zach Wilson back for Week 4 against the Steelers. Although I will make note, Flacco can join rarefied air with a win. If he beats the Ravens, he joins one of 2 other active quarterbacks, Brady and Rodgers, who have beaten 31 of 32 NFL teams, which is pretty damn insane when you think about it. All right, the other injury news that came across late today, George Kittle has a groin injury, and now his Week 1 status is unclear at this point. It remains to be seen how much time, if any, Kittle will end up missing beyond Week 1. If he plays in Week 1, the Niners will hopefully be back out there. That was not the case today, which I think is a pretty big red flag for the Niners, etc. I am hopeful that Kittle's able to return. He's a great player when healthy. The Niners need him out there to help, open up lanes in the running game and the passing game as well. I am just concerned that maybe that ends up not being the case. So we'll wait and see for George Kittle, the health, etc., but things are a little bit dicey from that standpoint. It's certainly one worth monitoring, especially if you are a 49ers fan, as it relates to the health of one George Kittle. If you made it to the end of today's video, you're a real one. So type real one for me in the comment section. Nice job, Jack. All right, did you watch Hard Knocks this year? Y for yes, N for no. Get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. As the comments are in a bit of a shambles, happens every time we talk about Dak Prescott. Can't say I'm surprised from that one. All right, no from Junior Estrada, Y Big Jordan, Brother John, NFL Kid, Chua, J-Rock, Michael. John said here and there. It's fine. My boy Micro Mike broke it down on our Lions channel, if you didn't pay attention there. Billy Walden, NFL Kid, vast majority typing in their ends, which I think is understandable. Although I will make note, UNC, Panther, King, Anime, and Marvel says yes. Really defining what you like there in that profile name. Thank you, my friend. Jack loves to. He's a huge nerd. I say with all due love and respect, but yes, you are. It's okay, I am too.
We're nerds together, Tom.
It's okay, I know.
Tom.
We both are.
Tom, it's cool to be a nerd. And we're nerds.
Is it? I'm not so sure.
It is.
But
it is now.
maybe when you get older.
It's the fad now.
Maybe when you get older.
No.
Still, I still think in high school or grade school, nah.
Liking the Marvel movies is cool now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're popular. It's fair.
There you go.
There you go. All right, let's get to our mailbag then. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1, use hashtag NFL in the comments section. Any ones you want, just throw them in there. If you do hashtag NFL, you are at the mercy of producer Jack picking your question. If you super chat, we will bring you up on screen. I see you clash with Zeus. Your super chat will be featured heavily early on in the mailbag. So get your questions in, hashtag NFL or super chat. And if you have comments you want to make too, you can use hashtag NFL or super chat, especially if you feel passionately about one or two NFL players from a positive or negative standpoint. Today's NFL mailbag is sponsored by Mint Mobile. They're changing the game in cell phone wireless coverage. Plans start as low as $15 a month. Start saving today without losing any of your coverage, since Mint Mobile runs on the largest 5G network, by making the switch over at mintmobile.com/chatsports. All right, super chat time from Clash with Zeus. $5. Thank you, my friend. Big ups to you. Do you think Tom Brady's personal problems are going to affect his on-field performance this year? I would wager that he's still going to be Brady. At some point, it has to stop. I do subscribe to the idea, theory, truth, whatever word we want to use there, that Giselle was mad that he returned to football. She'd scheduled the vacation in advance and said, Tom, you're coming, or else. And Brady did not want to find out what the or else was. That's why he took that time off. I think there could be some concerns of, hey, are you locked in all the way? I mean, you don't. It's Brady. All the rules go out the window for him, but you don't take off in the middle of camp like that. That's in the preseason. That's unheard of in most cases for what I think was just a vacation. So I don't think it will. If it does, I think if Brady regresses, I think it'll be because age, and he wasn't quite the same crazy wired, locked-in guy he'd always been in his NFL career. All right, Jeff Rogers, you think the Ravens will pay Lamar Jackson or franchise him for 2 years? I think at minimum, they're going to be on the franchise tag tomorrow. Look, we're filming this on Wednesday. The deadline is Friday. We'll see if that gets done or not. But the Ravens, I think, want to keep Lamar. I think Lamar is asking for a lot of money. I understand that. There doesn't appear to be major rush from Lamar's camp either. I think he can use the franchise tag to his advantage. But I doubt the Ravens just let him leave as opposed to not paying him. We'll see if a deal gets done. I think that's one of the biggest questions out there in the NFL right now. From Slippery Bill, why haven't the Ravens added Odell Beckham Jr.? So as it relates to OBJ, the Rams have so much interest, right? Like we all know that the Rams want to sign him. I get it. And I think he wants to go back too. OBJ doesn't have any leverage right now in contract talks. He's not healthy. He's not going to be out there and cleared to play until late October, early November. For OBJ, $1 million right now, you don't need that. What you could use is get healthy on your own, and then once you're healthy, maybe there's some more receiver injuries. Maybe it's Baltimore. Maybe it's the Rams, the Cowboys, the Packers, whoever, who have some type of injury or Titans at wide receiver. And they go, shoot, we need OBJ really badly. And all of a sudden, there's a bit more of a bidding war than there might otherwise be in the middle of September or dating back to August. So I think OBJ's unsigned because he wants to wait. There's no rush from him to go get a new deal somewhere. So who will end up signing Odell Beckham? I still think the Rams should be your betting favorite since there is that good relationship there. So two options. Type in R for the Rams or O for a different NFL team. And other, if you will. This is the pinned comment on today's show. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. R or O. Jewel, so the Niners extend Robbie Gould. If you want, sure. Kickers have a rather long lifespan in the NFL relative to every other position. Gould does turn 40 this year. If you can keep the guaranteed money low, I'm totally on board there. He's also a kicker. Like, you can wait. It's not a high-end priority for you. So if you want these to be good for a few more years, sure. It's also a kicker, an old one. I wouldn't rush into it. The NFL kid, Kyle Brandt, said the Panthers will win the South. Playoff time or no? I think they have a shot at the postseason. It all comes down to the quarterback play, right? Is Baker Mayfield enough of an upgrade as the O-line has its issues? There were injuries last year, and they started hot but collapsed once they played competent football teams pretty clearly. I don't think they win the South. I'm still going Tampa there. But in a not-so-great NFC, if they can beat the Saints once or twice, or twice in particular, they can absolutely make the postseason. I don't think they're going to be the number one overall pick. I think they might finish around 500, and I wonder if that still leads to Matt Rule getting fired. I'm not convinced he's the guy long term. I am convinced, though, in Mint Mobile. Unlimited talk and text on the largest 5G network. Start saving today at mintmobile.com/chatsports. You can use mobile hotspot. It does run, by the way, on the largest 5G network. Your service switches between 5G and 4G. With plans starting at just $15 a month, you're losing money if you don't make the switch, just like my mom did to Mint Mobile. So go do it today. mintmobile.com/chatsports. That link is in the comments section and the description of today's show. From the RC Plane Builder, is Marcus Mariota a dark horse candidate for comeback player of the year? I think dark horse, sure. I would be surprised if he won, but that's what makes him a dark horse, right? He definitely qualifies since he didn't do much of anything last year or in several years. I think some other candidates, Michael Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, maybe Jameis Winston too, have better chances. But if you want to throw some money on Mariota as a dark horse, sure. I think he's a good scheme fit for the offense. I just think Atlanta's not going to win enough games overall to get him that national hype you need for that type of award. Jeff Rogers, do you agree with the new regime in Vegas getting rid of most of the Gruden-Mayock draft picks? I go back and forth on this. On one hand, you didn't draft well. Dump them and get something while you can. That I understand. On the other hand, the Patriot way, which is what the Raiders are doing now, has never, ever worked in the NFL outside of New England. Tennessee doesn't really count from that standpoint. Like, it has been a failure everywhere it's gone when you bring in a GM and a head coach from the Patriots. It just doesn't work. It already failed once in Denver with Josh McDaniels. And the Raiders were a playoff team last year. I love their offense. The offensive line terrifies me. The defense should be good, but they changed a lot of the key pieces there. In general, look, you missed on a lot of picks. You dumped them. I get it. I would have done things differently with Leatherwood in particular, but he was horrible last year. So I get it. I go back and forth. I am okay with it, but I would be lying to you if I wasn't worried about it. Now, if you want NFL, NBA, and college football coverage all year long, hit that big red button and subscribe. We are Chat Sports, have videos every day, oftentimes multiple times per day on everything going on around the NFL. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. From Evan Hinders, if Minnesota makes the playoffs, will Kevin O'Connell win Coach of the Year? Maybe. I think it depends on what the other new coaches do. Like, if the Giants make the playoffs, Brian Daboll's going to win it, right? So if they make it, he's got a great shot, but I wouldn't call it a guarantee since they weren't that far away last year. Why Big Jordan? Who do you think will be the next head coach of the Panthers, and you think he will give Matt Golden Corral a chance? He was the first QB to practice almost every day during camp, which is, and I'm not going to be mean to Matt Corral, doing things the right way despite really not great performance for his unfortunate injury. I don't know. I think a lot of this comes down to how good or bad is Carolina this year. Like if Carolina's drafting top 5, they're going to take a new quarterback. And that sucks for Matt Corral, but he's a third-round pick for a new regime, in theory, that is not attached to him. We've seen teams draft a QB in the third round and move on very quickly, even when they're hurt. So depends on where they're drafting and, who the new head coach is. There's going to be a lot of interest in, I think, guys like Mike Kafka this upcoming year. I think guys like Dan Quinn will draw interest again to the cycle. Probably not Eric Bieniemy at this point, unfortunately. That's just the way it's gone. There's clearly some problems there. A little early for me to pick next head coach. There was a point where I thought Joe Brady would be a head coach. That didn't work out at all. Panthers fans know that quite well. So I don't know about head coach. Let's see where they finish in terms of Corral. If they're drafting early, they're going to take a QB, I bet. From Elbow Tightness, is this Matt Stafford's burner account? I saw any of the Falcons trading for Kareem Hunt. Thoughts? Dumb? Doesn't make sense? I'm sorry, but trading for Kareem Hunt is adding a win-now move, right? Like you're adding a veteran back who would probably be your RB2. Now, you drafted Tyler Algier in the 5th round. You got Darrell Williams' as depth as kind of 2A, 2B there. Cordero Patterson's fine, but the Falcons are not a contender. I'm sorry. So why are you trading draft picks for a running back? That doesn't make sense to me at all. Just kind of feels like a bad idea, to be blunt. Now, we have not done this in a while here on the main Chat Sports channel. I love it and I hate it. I'm asking you to trigger me in the comment section with bad trade ideas. Because what ends up happening is I go back to the comment section 2 days later or whatever, and I forget I asked this question. And then I end up triggering myself. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy there. Get in the comment section and trigger me with some bad trade ideas. Junior Estrada, NFL draft sleepers for next year. Ooh, kind of early with just week 1 of the season. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Devin Leary at quarterback, and then he didn't play very well in the first game. That was pretty disappointing. Jack's in my ear saying Emory Jones. No. Sorry. Overall, it's a little early for draft sleeper conversations. If you check out the channel, I did some week 1 winners that I was pretty impressed by from that standpoint. Some losers in there as well. Like Mayan Williams, not a guy on my radar, even though he played for Ohio State. Played awesome. Rasheed Rice, SMU, good sleeper name in there. FSU had some receivers flash in that opening game as well. The Charlie Jones from Purdue, I think is maybe a good example. Like Buffalo, Iowa, Purdue transfer. Balled out in his first game for Purdue. That's a good name to keep an eye out for as well. Oh, and the South Dakota State tight end. I forget his name. That's a good one. UNC, Panther, King, Anime, and Marvel. Think the Jags could make the playoffs this season. I think they're going to be better this year, which is a very low bar to clear, I know. And of the AFC divisions, the South is the least of the group, just barely behind the AFC East. Can they beat the Texans twice? Yes. Can they steal games against the Colts and Titans? Maybe. I think it's tough because you got to win 10-plus games. I don't see a 10-plus win jump for Jacksonville, but 7, 8, maybe even 9, and being in contention into December, I think that is possible. From London Bryce, how about Alexander Madison to the Steelers for a draft pick? I've seen plenty of Alexander Madison trade buzz. I don't really get it. Like in terms of like just selling him for Minnesota or paying a premium for a guy with a 4.2 career average. Like he's a good back. He's not special though. So if the Vikings want to trade him for a late draft pick, sure. If they want more than that, I don't get it from Pittsburgh's standpoint since we know they're going to lean heavily on Najee Harrison. Jalen Warren's not a bad player, I think, as a backup, for a UDFA at least. All right, you mentioned trades for Madison there. Name a player you think ends up getting dealt. Have some fun. We've got about 2 months to the NFL trade deadline, then it's gone. We can't talk trades again for months at that point. So let me know in the comments section. Name a player you think gets traded. From Michael, rate C.J. Stroud's performance against Notre Dame. C-ish? Stroud's a weird prospect for me at times. There is inconsistency in his game. He typically reads defenses pretty well, but he also starts consistently slow, and I don't really get why. Maybe it's a rhythm thing. I thought the Notre Dame defense did a great job locking up some of those receivers in that game, but he started slow. He did not play the way I thought he was going to. Look, they won the game. There weren't turnovers. There weren't INTs. He was steady, but not the spectacular ball out I thought we were going to get in the opening game of the season. So C+, acknowledging that that's based on expectations. There are plenty of quarterbacks who would have liked the game he had against Notre Dame, but we're talking potential number 1 overall pick. I thought he would have played just a little bit better. All right, who you got for me? Rams, Bills. LAR for the Rams or BUF for the Bills. 48% are going with the Rams right now. 52% are going with the Bills as we sit right now. Sip my water here, then I'll give some shout-outs. Actually, not water, it's something fun. Bills from Billy Walden, Mike Honcho, John Ashbrook. Junior Estrada says Rams. Michael Orton says Bills. Brother John, UNC Panther, and Y Big Jordan typing in Buffalo. Mark Mulo says Rams. RR says Rams. You can skip that next one, Jack. I didn't even put it there in the script. Jeff says Buffalo. CW Moss says Buffalo. Monty Peters wrote in Raiders. You might be behind, Monty. I'm not sure. This is Bills or Rams. If you're behind, click live, get caught up for me. And then now we got, I know he's behind, but he'll eventually hear it, then he'll get caught up, and it's just how it goes. CSI also says Rams in there, and now we got people shouting out their favorite team. So we're all over the map. LAR for the Rams, BUF for the Buffalo Bills. Today's NFL Daily is sponsored by Mint Mobile. They have changed the game in cell phone wireless coverage here. Plans beginning at $15 a month, and they run on the largest 5G network, so you're saving money and not sacrificing your coverage or speed. Start saving some money today with Ryan Reynolds' cell phone company plan at mintmobile.com/chatsports. Today's look is a look at the top 10 ESPN consensus draft prospects. Some interesting names on this list. Let's break it down. At number 1, Will Anderson, the edge rusher out of Alabama. Anderson was a consensus number 1, meaning not just the aggregate, the average. Every single ESPN draft analyst, that's Mel Kiper, Matt Miller, Jordan Reid, and Todd McShay, all had Anderson as the number 1 overall prospect. There was no difference in opinion from that standpoint. Anderson last year was insane. He's an edge rusher. If anyone says the words off-ball linebacker to you, do not listen to him ever again. He is an edge through and through. 101 tackles for an edge and 31 TFLs is absurd. He was the best player in college football last year. If that continues, even though teams need QBs, this is shaping up to this entire year of football, entire year of evaluation to go. Shaping up to be one of the better edges we've seen in a very long time. Now, if you want more NFL draft videos, help me out. Like the video right now. I want to do these weekly and not just mock drafts. I want to do more this year. But I need your help to get there. So like the video for me right now. Let's stick on the defense side of the football. Jalen Carter, who was a consensus number 2, except for Mel Kiper, who had the quarterbacks above him. We'll get to those guys here in a little bit. Carter's raw numbers do not jump off the screen to you. 3 sacks, 8.5 TFLs. But when you really watch the film, the All-22 side, the impact is clear. I think there is a great argument that as loaded as that Georgia defense was last year, Carter might have been the best player on the football field for the Bulldogs. They have, once again, as we saw in Week 1 against Oregon, a fantastic defensive front and defense overall. All right, so Carter Anderson are most people's answers for the number one prospect. Who do you think it is, though? Let me know in the comments section who the number one prospect for the 2023 NFL Draft is. It's quarterback time now. C.J. Stroud actually tied for third here alongside the other quarterback we'll get to here in a little bit. Stroud for the Buckeyes, I wasn't overly impressed with him in that opening game against Notre Dame. I thought there were enough misses that I was like, I was hoping for a little bit more from that standpoint. But despite being a historically slow starter and maybe some issues with being a bit of a cold weather quarterback, as some Michigan fans will tell you, I do like the physical attributes and the ball placement for C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young is next up here, also tied for 3. For reference here, Kiper and Jordan Reid had Young above Stroud. McShay and Matt Miller had C.J. Stroud above Bryce Young. Young was very good in that opening game against Utah State. It's a small school, I get it, Utah State. You shouldn't read too much into it, but 295 total yards, 5 total scores in that game, had 100 yards on the ground. Both these quarterbacks, make no mistake, have talent, and it will be a back and forth between them all year long. Pick a QB for me. BY for Bryce Young, CJ for CJ Stroud. Right this second, who do you think should be quarterback 1 in the NFL Draft? It's the pinned comment on today's show, so if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's go to Texas. Yeah, been a while since we said that for top NFL Draft prospect. Bijan Robinson at number 5 on this list, the running back from Texas. He does not need a high-end workload, but, oh my God, he is dynamic with the ball in his hands. Cannot wait to watch him this upcoming weekend against Alabama. The ESPN rankings, again, a 4-man consensus, Kiper, McShay, Reid, and Miller. Here's where they had Bijan Robinson ranked. Kiper had him 9, McShay 8, Reid 6, Matt Miller number 3. I love Bijan. That's too rich for me. I think top 10 is fine, even factoring in the lack of running back value in the modern-day NFL. Robinson makes something out of nothing so many times a game. He is a joy to watch on the football field. I'm all for him being in the top 10. Got a running back in the top 5 and a tight end in the top 6. Now, Michael Mayer might not have the most high-end athletic ability compared to an Eric Gilbert or whoever, but he is consistent. He is reliable. He can block. He is just a very well-rounded tight end. I'm not going to compare him from a high-end upside perspective to George Kittle, but I think from a balance perspective and just being a great football player, those are kind of some of the vibes you get there. The Notre Dame offense is at its best when they throw it to Michael Mayer. Do that every play, and maybe they would have more success against Ohio State. Elite production last year at the tight end spot. Now, if you want elite cell phone coverage, that's Mint Mobile. Head over to mintmobile.com/chatsports. Unlimited talk and text on the largest 5G network with plans starting at just $15 a month. Don't just take my word for it. Take my mom's. She made the switch over to Mint Mobile, and she loves it. Unlimited premium wireless starting at $15 a month. mintmobile.com/chatsports. That link will be in the comments section and in the description of today's show. All right, another tie for 7 here. Jackson Smith and Jigba first up. Now, we remember him torching Utah against admittedly some backup, corners, but still, the Ohio State receiver pipeline has been incredible, and JSN is next up in that line. However, he is likely going to miss some time. A hamstring injury early versus Notre Dame didn't make a major impact there. Will likely miss some more time. He is in a battle for wide receiver 1 status with Kayshon Boutte. And, oh boy, talk about bad. I don't know what's going on at LSU, but you have your most dynamic playmaker by a significant margin, and you had a tough time getting the ball towards him, and when he did, he dropped 2 of them. He looked moody, disinterested. He went full-fledged diva week 1, and that will turn off NFL teams. As dynamic as Boutte is with the ball in his hands, he played like booty against FSU. That's a huge problem for Kayshon. So I'm not out on him But he got to get back on track here sooner than later. Otherwise, his stock will fall. We've seen it many a time before, unfortunately. So of the big two wide receivers, and you can write in J for Jordan Addison, whoever if you want. JSN for Jackson Smith and Jigba. KB for Kayshon Boutte. Let me know in the comment section. Look, more ties, because, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. It's how things, whatever. Cowardice, I guess. All right, first up here is Myles Murphy. Now, Murphy did not make a major impact here from that perspective. He was, a little up and down, a little inconsistent. The Clemson defensive line overall abused and bullied that Tech offensive line. I'm not out on Myles Murphy. There were some pretty big gaps overall in the difference in talent level from Murphy. Even guys like Brian Breezy and KJ Hunter, I think I said that right there. Those guys also impressed in a pretty good way for Clemson in that opening game against Georgia Tech. Now, or KJ Henry, that's the name, my bad. If you're looking for more NFL, NBA, and college football / NFL draft coverage, we've got you covered. Hit that big red button and subscribe at youtube.com/chatsportstv. The final tie for ninth is Nolan Smith as they go Clemson, Georgia edge rushers here. Smith was a bit more impactful against Oregon, although that game was over pretty quickly, so he didn't play a massive snap load either. 2 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, a hurry, 3 pressures per game is pretty damn good. No sacks, that's okay though. Hit the quarterback twice, that led to some other plays on defense overall, which I think is impactful from that standpoint. I was surprised Nolan Smith was so low, and I figured out why. He was a consensus top 10 guy for everyone but Mel Kiper. Mel had number 25, McShay number 5, Reid number 7, and Matt Miller number 9. So everyone but Kiper says this guy's a top 10 prospect. And then Mel had him at 25. So, okay, Mel's, I guess, the outlier there. Smith's not that big of a player, but he does offer great bend and burst around the edge. All right, so that was the ESPN consensus top 10. As of filming, I wouldn't be surprised if more updates come in the near future. But who did and then we'll do it throughout the year, of course, ESPN will. We'll keep you covered. Who did ESPN leave off their top 10 list? Let me know right now in the comment section. I've got some names you could consider adding to that top 10 list here. Brian Breezy, I thought, played very well. A guy that has not been healthy, but has had talent, ability, and he was really good when he's been healthy, but he hasn't been healthy nearly enough, and that's held him back. I would not be surprised if when we sit down for the actual NFL draft, we're talking about him as a potential top 10 draft pick. He just has to stay healthy after missing so much time, especially last year for Clemson. Keely Ringo, I think, is CB1 in a kind of a cluttered class there. Trenton Simpson can do a lot of fun things for defense for Clemson. Will Levis, I'll make note of, along with Anthony Richardson. I thought both guys played pretty well in week 1. It's not a good offensive line class. Peter Skoronski, though, is, I believe, the number 1 offensive tackle or guard. He might get to kick inside, so I want to make note of him as well. That is the end of this video. If you made it to the end, you are a real one. Spam a real one for me in the comment section right now. All right, I'll get some shout-outs here as well. Big thanks. We're not done yet with the live show, guys. Don't worry there. Talking NFL, draft. So what do you like more? NFL, college football. Type in NFL or CFB. That kind of makes sense from that standpoint there. Let me get a sip of my water here. My throat's drying out. Happens all the time there. I see some Ringo and Skoronski shout-outs. Good choices there, guys. NFL from Mr. Awesome Guy, plus shout-outs for Juan Hernandez, Michael Ortman, Tristan Bravo, Junior Estrada, Y Big Jordan. See you guys in there. Thank you so much. Truist is CFB. Mike Concho, I see you too, my friend. NFL's from Mark, Juan, Jared, Y Big Jordan. Truist is CFB. James says NFL. Jeff says NFL. Coin toss from Michael Ortman. That's fair. I go this way. Saturdays, I like college football more. Sundays, NFL more. Is that a cop-out answer? You're damn right it is. All right, let's get to our mailbag then. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1, use hashtag NFL. That's something that, let me get the name here. Latuya just did earlier. We'll get to that super chat early on in the mailbag. Thank you, Latuya. Or you guys can just use hashtag NFL. Those are your two routes to get on the show here. Super chat or use hashtag NFL. If you use hashtag NFL, it'll put you in the queue to get you in, but you're relying on producer Jack picking your questions, and he says don't spam. Jack gets annoyed when you end up spamming. So hashtag NFL or super chat for the final mailbag of today's show. This is NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It's a mailbag. You know the drill, right? You ask the questions. We give you the answers here on Chat Sports. A super chat to begin. Latuya67. Thank you, my friend. With so many backs, do you think Jacobs gets traded? I don't think so. It's 6 backs if we include the fullback in Jacob Johnson. Brandon Bolden and Amir Abdullah are both kind of more third down back special teams guys. I think Britton Brown's kind of a stash for a year, basically. Zamir White might replace Josh Jacobs long term, but I don't know if he's ready to be a lead back right now. And the Raiders under McDaniels will rotate backs heavily, I suspect, but I still think Jacobs is going to be the lead guy for a decent-ish margin, especially early on this year. So maybe if Zamir White impresses and we get close to the deadline, a trade could happen, but I would lean towards no Josh Jacobs trade quite yet. From brother John Wayne Cossey, will the Cowboys make the playoffs this year or not? I think so, but I don't feel as good about them as they did last year. I don't know how you could. They got worse at a lot of key positions. They didn't make any upgrades. They have a bunch of cap space for some reason. I don't feel as confident as I did last year about the Cowboys, but the NFC is bad. The Eagles are the only other good NFC East team, so they should at minimum be in the playoff conversation all year long. From Tristan Bravo, should someone trade for Deion Jones? No. I don't think anyone's making a move right now for Deion Jones. He had the shoulder injury in the offseason, then he went on IR this year, so he's not healthy right now. He's expensive. Kind of feels like the Falcons are just playing the waiting game with Deion Jones. They're going to keep him for now. Next year, he's gone. If he comes back this year, great. Kind of feels like both sides don't want to be involved with each other that much anymore. So we'll wait and see, but I don't think anyone should trade for Deion Jones right now. It's too expensive, and he's not healthy. From Elevate, to the Saints sign Anthony Harris. Now, is this because of the Marcus May arrest or because of the shocking Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade? I actually don't hate this idea. I think Harris would be a good fit in New Orleans. I was surprised Philly cut him. He's not a premier safety, but I guess he's the new Trey Boston, where for whatever reason I thought Boston always played well in L.A. and Carolina, and nobody wanted him to make that happen. He never got paid a lot of money, and then he got kind of cut and was out of the NFL quickly. Maybe Anthony Harris is in the same boat, but the Saints can use multiple packages. Gardner-Johnson's gone. Yeah, I would consider Anthony Harris because Daniel Sorensen's bad. I don't want him out there. I think Harris every day over Sorensen. All right, when it comes to Anthony Harris, who will sign him? This is maybe the best available outside of Ndamukong Suh free agent out there. Who will sign Anthony Harris? This is the pinned comment on today's show. You know the drill. If the ad break comes on YouTube, let it play. Head down there and type in who you think will sign Anthony Harris at that pinned comment. Another super chat from Clash with Zeus. Thank you, my friend. Mitch is always talking about Darrell Williams to the Raiders. Does he have any interest in the Raiders, or are there any other team interested in him? I think the connection to the Raiders makes perfect sense. He can play right tackle. Have to find those guys. Raiders have no good right tackles. Sometimes you'll find these veterans end up waiting or being forced to wait until after week 1 because then their base salaries are not fully guaranteed. So after week 1, we'll revisit, see if things change all of a sudden. I have not heard much interest in Darrell Williams. He is old. There's probably been some, hey, come join our practice squad interest. Who knows if anyone wants that? So it's a great question, Class with Zeus, and a big thank you for your super chats today as well. All right, from Vince, who is the most likely real upset in week 1? Okay, so you're talking about real upsets. So I will use the Vegas odds from that standpoint to help determine the upsets. The Vikings are not nearly as big of a underdog as I would think that they are, or that they should be from that standpoint. That's kind of interesting. I do like the idea of the meme upset of Joe Flacco beating the Ravens. Not going to get my hopes up for that one. That seems a bit unlikely. So I like the Vikings over the Packers. I think that's a pretty realistic one from that standpoint. Beyond that, I mean, I don't see the Falcons beating the Saints. Lions-Eagles would be fun because it's the Lions, but I think Eagles win that one. So I'll go Vikings over the Packers. Devontae Smith, is Treylon Burks a bust? I don't think so. The Treylon Burks conversation, I think it's often fantasy-driven for these young guys, is really weird. I know he missed time at the beginning of OTAs and minicamp, etc., because he just, had the asthma, wasn't in perfect shape, whatever. But he's really kind of plummeted in fantasy stocks and even odds to win Rookie of the Year. He's going to get the ball. He is a starter, I believe, for this team. We'll see if I'm wrong come week 1. But, originally, your betting favorites to have the most yards be like Rookie of the Year receiver, right? With Drake London, Burks, Garrett Wilson. So, we'll tie this in here into BetUS in a second. But first, who will have more yards in year 1? DL for Drake London, TB for Treylon Burks, GW for Garrett Wilson, or O for other. If you're looking for other names, stay tuned here in a second. Now, today's show is made possible by BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code NFL Daily. If you put down $100, boom, an extra $125 for free for you to bet on. That NFL most yards was based on the earlier odds for Rookie of the Year. Things have changed significantly. Here are the updated Rookie of the Year odds before the Bills play the Rams. Kenny Pickett, plus 800. Breece Hall, plus 900. Dameon Pierce has skyrocketed to plus 900. Chris Olave, plus 1,000. Along with Sky Moore and George Pickens. Romeo Doubs, plus 1,200. Drake London, Jalen Tolbert, plus 1,400. Then Treylon Burks at plus 1,600. Burks being so low absolutely shocks me. It's not Pickett, by the way. If you can pick who it's going to be, you'll win some major money on BetUS, so go do it. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL Daily. The Elite. The Dolphins should play Skylar Thompson like Taysom Hill. I don't want any more Taysom Hills. The Taysom Hill value is that he can be a receiver, tight end, H-back, and special teamer. I don't think Thompson can do those things for you. He is a very unique talent. Trying to find the new Taysom Hill is a bit of a waste of your time. If you want to be your backup QB, sure. If you want to have some red zone, read option package like with Jacoby Brissett, sure. Full-fledged Taysom Hill, no. Just let him be a quarterback and grow in that area. Junior Estrada. Should the Patriots draft a wide receiver in next year's draft? What do you think, Jack? Yeah? No? How many times are you going to draft a receiver in the top 75 and have him bust? A little bit too frequently there. You took Tyquan Thornton, traded for Devontae Parker. You'll probably dump Aguilar-Bourne in the near future. So maybe, if we go the entire draft, sure. Early, I think I'd look at other positions at this point. Now, if you want all the latest NFL news and rumors and trades and draft coverage, we've got you guys covered. Hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Fantasy question from John Dorman. Start Allen Robinson or Godwin, no PPR. Now, look, A-Rob plays on Thursday Night Football. So you got to make your decision now, John. And this is before we even go out on demand, this video. Start Allen Robinson. I think Godwin will play, but I don't know for certain. There's no Van Jefferson. I say A-Rob and play it safe. Don't put him in your flex, though. Put him at wide receiver. All right, Chris Voges. The Niners should sign Thaddeus Moss. Everyone loves Thaddeus Moss. How do I put this delicately? He's not good. I'm sorry. If his last name was Smith, nobody would care. But he had that awesome CFP run after not doing anything in the regular season. He's been hurt. He's not a good blocker. He's a limited athlete. Thaddeus Moss practice squad? Sure. Replacing an injured George Kittle? No. Mark Mulo. Hello, Tom. Hope you and yours had a great summer. Thank you, Mark. Happy to have you here again. Is this the year that Kirk Cousins finally proves himself as a top NFL QB? I would like that for Minnesota and for Kirk Cousins. I think he's a very good quarterback. He's in the top 15, not top 10 for me. It's not fair because it's not how things should be done. But if Cousins has a great playoff run, he's going to help himself out. That's a team statistic, but that's how national media and fans always view these QBs. Well, NFC Championship, like people talk about Jimmy Garoppolo like he's better than Kirk Cousins. He's not, though. Cousins is a better player, has been the better football team, better coaching staff, etc. So he's top 15 for me. I would love it if he could have a bit more success, since that is the big national thing holding him back. Texas-born 45. Should the Broncos sign Blake Martinez? Sure, if they want. Blake Martinez, his numbers, his tackle numbers have always looked great, right? 151, 155, 144. Here's the problem. He's a very good run stopper. He's bad in coverage. Tackles individually are a bad way to evaluate players because they're around the football, but why are they around the football? Where are they around the football? Too many times for Martinez, it's been because he got beat in coverage. Who do you think is the best remaining NFL free agent left unsigned? Let me know in the comments section who you think is the top free agent left. Adam Page, Vikings trade for AJ Epinesa. I think you could get him from the Bills. I'll say this, though. He's not a fit for me. He had to play him at 5 technique, which I think you're okay with. I think you want him as an edge, a 4-3 defensive end. They moved him to a 3-4 scheme. I don't love the fit for Minnesota and AJ Epinesa. If you want to make a full-time 5 technique, okay, I get it. But do you want to trade for a full-time 5 technique? I think you can stick with what you got right now if you are Minnesota. Michael Ortman, what are the Bears targeting next year's draft? Receivers, offensive line. You didn't do it really this year? Ooh, Velus Jones in the 3rd. Maybe Braxton Jones will be a piece for it. That'd be pretty fun for them. But, you continue to waffle on what you're doing with Tevin Jenkins, which is weird to me. You got to help Justin Fields. Receiver, offensive line is how you do that. Turn Whitfield. With Kittle being hampered, what chance do you give the Bears in Week 1? I am in on Trey Lance. We'll see if I'm smart or an idiot. Who knows? But I still think the Niners are and should be favored. I don't want to discount altogether the Bears' chances. I think that's unfair. But I do think the Niners end up winning that game. Hopefully ends up being a great one. I know Chase and Harrison are having some friendly rivalries this week as they kind of get angry with each other at various points over that game. All right, that is the end of today's mailbag. If you made it to the end of the video, you're a real one. Show us some love, and we'll show you some love too by typing real one in the comment section. All right, before we go, who you got? Last chance, folks. Rams or the Bills? LAR for the Rams, BUF for the Buffalo Bills. The Rams are at 48% of the vote. The Bills at 52%. It has not changed in the entirety of the live show, which is kind of crazy to me. So let me know. LAR for the Rams, BUF for the Buffalo Bills. I'll give some quick shout-outs here, and we'll bounce. I see Mark's got the Rams, Toxic's got the Bills, Shelly has the Bills, SM has the Rams, Vince has the Bills. Mr. Awesome Guy, is Stafford still hurt? No. You know what? I'll mention this quickly. The Stafford elbow injury reminds me of the Dak shoulder injury. Kind of a weird injury. Going to be fine for Week 1, but not quite 100%. They'll play through it. I am curious how Stafford looks in that first game. It's why I'm taking the Bills in Week 1 myself. Get him in, though. LAR for the Rams, BUF for the Bills. That is it for today's live show. If you missed out, make sure you guys are subscribed. Free videos every single day right here at Chat Sports.